Welcome, North Carolina, to the College App Information Webinar. Um, I'm Dan Logus, the Director of Professional Development in the system at the System Office for CCR. If you don't know who I am, I think probably everybody knows who I am. And I went to the CALE conference in New Orleans last fall and met Tara and Andy. I went to a session where they talked about College App, and then I talked to Tara and Andy at their booth. And we are not actually endorsing or saying you need to buy College App. I just think that it was really interesting that they can market so targeted to people who they know don't have a high school diploma and have an interest in getting one. So I thought it would be worth sharing that with you. So without saying anything else, Tara and Andy, take it away.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Good afternoon. Great to meet you. I'm Andy Carlson, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships with College App, and excited to talk to you all today. Tara, do you want to do a quick introduction and we can jump into the slides?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Tara Conrad, joining you today from upstate New York. I live up on Lake Ontario. Super happy to join the conversation and looking forward to the afternoon.
Great, thanks. So we're going to walk through some slides. I'll kick things off, turn over to Tara, and then we can feel free to jump in with questions, maybe in the chat function if you want. And we can definitely take questions after the slide deck and then show you our interactive database data platform that our clients get access to when they're using our system for recruiting students. But real quick, College App launched in 2019, 5.5 years ago now, and we now partner with more than 200 colleges and universities, community colleges with four-year universities. And what we do is we give them access to predictive analytics, really focused on a predicted intent to enroll at the person level. And these systems, then along with our database that we'll show you in a little bit, enable efficient adult student recruitment. We're going to do this a little differently than how we normally do. We're actually going to start with a case study local to North Carolina. We worked with Pitt Community College. So we'll kind of talk through this real quick and then go into a little bit of detail about the results we're about to share. We're really strong and awesome, and we're going to explain why they were so awesome using our system. But we connected with Pitt Community College through the Credential as You Go program that North Carolina was one of the participating states. Through that program, that supported institutions to create stackable credential pathways. One of the programs that Pitt started was the new medical coding certificate, supporting workforce development opportunities and needs in their region. And as a rural institution, as I'm sure you know, they had a limited marketing budget. And they got the program in place. And we're just trying to figure out how could we get the word out and get some individuals to sign up and enroll in this program that would quickly connect them to a good job. The goal, so they partnered with us, and the goal was they wanted to get 7 to 8 students to enroll. So we worked with them. The small ad budget. You want to jump to the next slide, Tara, please? We worked with them to develop some creative materials and then used our database and our predictive models and the underlying data in Pitt service area. They had a small budget of a little over $4,000, $4,250. And then, as the previous slide indicated, they were hoping to get 7 to 8 students. Well, in a very quick time, this campaign was just honestly gangbusters. And it led to 80 new enrollments, far exceeding those expectations, right? 10 times larger in size than they really expected and were hoping to get. So they actually hired some additional instructors for the program to accommodate that demand. And you can see some examples of the creative content, the ads that we placed on Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. All right. So how do we do that? When we work with our clients, how do we get results like that? How do we get those results for Pitt Community College? There's kind of 2 aspects to College App's platform and what we do and what our clients get access to. First and foremost, there's a large database of person-appended data, 650 demographic and behavioral data points, all appended at the person level. And across the U.S., there's 260 million adults in the database. In North Carolina, there's about a little bit over almost 11 million adults in the database. Everyone in the database is over the age of 18, and all the underlying data comes from publicly or commercially available sources. So none of these data are obtained by scraping websites or whatnot. But from there, there's a lot of information that our clients are able to filter by. They can filter by socioeconomic status, primarily through household income, detailed person level demographics, age, gender, race, ethnicity category, current education level, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of information in there, and those are just some of the big highlights. It gets pretty niche as well. You can filter for veterans and household, for example. So that's kind of one aspect, but frankly, more importantly, layered into this database, if you want to jump, thank you, Tara. We have developed through a combination of surveys and working with a team of data scientists to develop these predictive models. We have predictive models also attached to every person in the database, predicting each individual's likely intent to enroll in education and training, their preference for certain types of institution, whether that's a 2-year institution or a voc tech school or a 4-year institution, preference for modality type, either hybrid modality or all online. We also have a model for predicting intent to seek a new job. And while in the underlying database that we just talked about, education attainment is one of the data fields in there, we actually have a model that refines it even more, that does allow for that predicts current education level. A couple months ago, we released a series of program interest models as well. So our clients are able to filter as well for preference for certain types of programs. And you can see those listed there. I think, Tara, I'm going to turn it over to you for the second half of the slide deck.
It is 2025. You'd think I'd figure out how to unmute. So thanks so much, everybody. So Andy sort of went over our models. And when you pair the models with the data that you're slicing and dicing down, it helps the schools really hone in on who is likely to answer questions. So in North Carolina, CollegeApp has 10.5 million people, just about 10.5 million people in the database. And if we filter that down on just our banner model, which is intend to enroll in education or training. So what is the likelihood that someone is going to say, yes, I intend to enroll in education or training in the next 2 years? So what we would say is, for you all, looking at who we should be reaching out to for initiatives that we have or programs that we're offering, we would say, let's start with this 4.3 million people as opposed to the larger population of 10.5 million people. And to take that one step further, we might say, okay, who has intent to enroll? But we also can say who has intent to enroll in a community college. And that's 1.7 million people. So you can see the mappings and, where there's populations there with intent to enroll in community college, that's going to get you your best bang for your buck. So able to run smaller campaigns to smaller audiences, but still see really high engagement rates and enrollment rates coming back, using the models to layer on top of all of that data. So how is the data utilized? CollegeApp will work with you to create your audience. So maybe it's folks over the age of 18 without a high school credential, who currently are in households making less than $65,000 a year, who have a high intent to enroll in education or training at a community college. CollegeApp will help you create that audience for you. If you want to just send specific data elements that you're interested in pulling, or have it hop on a call and talk through different options. We then will format the list for the specific channel that you're planning on using for marketing. So maybe you're planning on doing a Facebook campaign like Pitt Community College did, we'll format it for you to take it directly to Meta, upload it, and use it from there. Other option is we could format it for mailings or format it for texting campaigns. So you can take the data and then launch that, whatever channel you're planning on using for your marketing. So the data doesn't have to live within CollegeApp. It very much can be utilized in multiple situations across campus. And one of the other advantages about using CollegeApp for your marketing, particularly if you're doing social media marketing, is this presence of bot traffic. And if you've ever done social media marketing, one of the things that they say is over the last few years, all the traffic on the internet, about 50% of them are bots. There's lots of news out there about the number of bot accounts on Facebook. When we talk to schools, a lot of them have, bots are responding to their RFIs. In some cases, bots are applying to programs, things like that. So by using CollegeApp for your targeting, not only are you reducing your audience size, but because you're using a commercial database for the targeting, you're able to ensure that you're not targeting bots. You're targeting actual people who are in your area that you've hand selected for your ad campaigns. And we see really high success rates with CollegeApp. I would challenge you, to kind of ask your marketing folks what kind of engagement rates you are getting on the advertisements that you're doing for your programs. CollegeApp sees better than industry average, pretty in every category across the board. So again, it's all about, your resources are really limited. Let's make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. And we do sort of cross-utilize across campus. So, we work with traditional admissions and enrollment for adult recruitment campaigns. We work with adult education. We work with workforce development or community engagement foundations. So, could be grant writing, institutional research. So the data can be used in multiple offices across campus. When you sign up for CollegeApp, you do get 5 user accounts. So it could be adult and career readiness has an account, and then non-traditional enrollment has an account, or marketing has an account. So you're able to share CollegeApp across campus. It doesn't have to be restricted to one audience. And we do work with about 150 community colleges. I think we work with about 8 in North Carolina right now, ranging from urban schools to smaller rural institutions. It's always fun for us to be able to chat with the different schools and see that the message resonates regardless of size or the program that we're working on. And then we have a lot of partnerships. So we actually have a webinar on Thursday that we're hosting about the Michigan Reconnect and some of the work we did there, where we helped them re-enroll 12,000 adults. We work with the Land of Sky Regional P20 Council in North Carolina. We've done work with the Foundation for California Community Colleges and CALE and Lumina. So across the board, we work with lots of different organizations. So if you are partnering with an organization or an initiative, and you think CollegeApp might be helpful, it's interesting. It would be interesting to have a conversation with you about things like that as well. And that was pretty much what we had for you today. Are there any questions? You can type them in the chat, or if you're able to unmute yourself, feel free to do so. And I know Andy had mentioned about the data. Happy to chat with any of you individually and dive into your specific area. but we do have a little time. We could hop into the database and look at North Carolina specifically. Let me stop sharing, but if you have any questions while I pull that up, feel free to ask away.
She could even pull it up for a specific college that's in the room. If somebody wants to volunteer to have to look at their data.
Yeah, if someone wanted to quickly give us like the couple counties of their service area, we can roll that in.
I'll go.
Perfect.
Thanks, Veronica.
Yeah, Columbus County, Southeastern Community College.
Cool.
Awesome.
Tara, are you pulling it up?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And Sherry put in the chat James Sprunt. Sherry, can you tell us which counties James Sprunt serves?
Sorry, I'm just resetting. I think it timed out on me.
So Columbus County first, and then Sherry wants to see Duplin County.
Perfect.
Sorry, my icons were covered up on that screen and I had my heater on, so I thought typing might be best. But we are Duplin County and it's very large, rural, and it's very hard to find data on us. So
Okay.
I'm eager to see what you can pull up.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know why this is timing out for me. Andy, do you have it up?
Yeah, let me try.
Okay.
All right, can you all see
Oh,
that?
that's perfect. Thanks, Andy.
No problem. All right, let me pull in. Oops. So we've got North Carolina highlighted here, aligned to the numbers on Tara's slide, about 10.6 million adults in the bottom left-hand corner across 7 million households. We can filter in a lot of different ways geographically, so we are going to jump right in with Columbus County as our first one, right? All right, so, but here just real quick, if we want to rank order them largest to smallest, you can see that here. We'll go back to alphabetical, and then I'm going to select Columbus County. And let's dig in real quick. I'll zoom in there. So Southeast North Carolina, right? 51,266 individuals. Excuse me. The dots, by the way, are color coded by income, and the oranges and the reds are the higher income households, while the blues and the greens are lower income. And if we do zoom in here, we can see how that kind of plays out a little bit. But looking like a pretty rural county. Let's real quick just take a look at some of the underlying characteristics. And we can run our models and see how that changes things here. 54.5% female, age range distribution here, and then we've got ethnic group, sizable African American population, and then about 3.5% Hispanic population as well. We do have, I will just point out, this is the education of person data in the underlying database. So through here, it is possible to filter for those that might be in need of adult basic education, like a GED into college pathway. We have our underlying model as well, though, that does look at education attainment, and you can actually use that to separate that out as well, even though it's not how it's currently grouped. But we can work with you on that. So here is our distribution. Here's our model predicting intent. And so this would play out regardless of what other county we were in, it would look like this. So this is a probability score ranging from 0 to 100. The higher the number, the more likely the individual is to have intent for education and training. Sometimes we'll start with a cut score of 60 and up. Other times, honestly, in more rural locations, often we might say 40 and up would be a good starting cut score to pull in those within this county that have high intent. So we're going to narrow it down. So go back to the first slide Tara talked about that had the 10.6, and then I think it was about 4.3 million with intent. We're doing the same thing here. And so we can see the 52,000 adults in Columbus County has been cut in about half. So now we're at 26,857 individuals. If we wanted to also add in those with high school and less and some college no degree, we could do that here just to narrow down a little bit further. And then let's just real quick take a look at some of the underlying characteristics. So we are at just about 25,000 individuals with likely intent for education and training, some college no degree and less current education level. We can see it's definitely larger percentages here, clustering in those younger ages, 18 to really 44. These were about 7% each before we ran the models. And let's look at ethnic group, and we can look at gender too real quick. So we see that this population, compared to the county on the whole, we've gone up in the share that is African American and also the share that is of Hispanic origin. And then if we look at gender real quick, we can see that split here. It stayed about the same, hasn't it? I think it was about 54.5% female before we ran the models. All right. So to kind of close the loop on this example, if this was like a meta campaign list that you wanted to pull, you could come up here in the database if you were a client, and under, where is it? Under universes, click the plus sign, save this as a point in time snapshot with all the person identifiable information that you would need for each of these individuals on the list to match to their Facebook and Instagram accounts. Now, not everyone on this list is going to have those accounts, but we tend to see about 60 to 65% match rate. So this might be a list of about 18,000 individuals that you could put ads in front of. So that's real quick, one quick demo. What was the second county? Why don't I just kind of leave some of the things up and we can look at, is it Duplin?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go in here and we're gonna unselect that one. And I'm gonna be patient and let it reload first. And then we'll go to, oh, here's where I need to go. Whoops, went too far. Bear with me. What's wrong? Okay, here we go. Do plan. And I do have those other filters selected, so let me reset those. All right, so another rural county, and where are we? There we go. So we've got 41,000 individuals. I think I've got everything unselected, right? In this county, so we can do the same thing just real quick. Let's look at the gender split and age range, and then we'll run our models and kind of see how things change. Ethnic group. Also sizable African American population at 17.6% and sizable Hispanic population at 11.1%. And we can also, I'll point out real quick, there's primary language information. So it's also possible, we actually did this in the Michigan campaign we ran for Michigan Reconnect that Tara alluded to. We actually did ads in Spanish for a subset of our lists that were primary Spanish speakers. All right, so let's do the same thing though. Let's open up the intent to enroll and probably do that 40 and up cut score. So 41,000 individuals. When we're filtering for a high intent level, we're now at 20,464. And then we can look at the education level as well and pull that in to narrow it down a little bit more. 19,085 individuals. And let's look at some of the characteristics here. It's gone up on it, both the share coming from the Hispanic origin population and African American populations. Age range, I suspect we'll also see definitely clustering in the younger ages. And then let's look at the gender split here. It's actually looks like it's gone down just a hair on the gender split on the share that's female. I can also pull, and I haven't done this yet with the last one, but we have household finance information. So we could look at estimated income. And so by really filtering for those with intent and those that are some college no degree and less, we've definitely pretty much eliminated the highest levels here. This is household income, not individual income. This is household level data, but you can see that distribution here. Do we have time for one more? I can reset some things and we can take a look at the next one. Someone wants to yell out some county names for me.
We actually have like a list in the chat. Next was New Hanover and Pender counties.
Okay.
And those would be together. That's Cape
Yeah.
Fear.
Yep.
Okay, so New Hanover and Pender, right?
Yes.
Right.
Well, thank you. There we go. All right. Let's zoom in. All right, cool. So we've got super interesting looking set of two counties here, right? So we're along the coast here. And as I mentioned earlier, the dots are color coded by income. So we see a large collection of high income orange and red dots along the coastline here, and then a clustering of lower income around Wilmington, right? And then, individuals spread out in the more rural areas here in the second county. So let's do the same thing. Let's just kind of quickly take a look at some of the characteristics, and then we'll run our models and kind of see how this information changes. Skewing a little bit more on the female side, 53% to about 46% male. Age range here. This is actually probably makes sense, right? Is this possibly a fair number of retirement homes, right? Actually seeing larger percentages here in the upper age cohorts, but I'm sure that'll change too when we run our models. Let's look at ethnic group. So 9.5% African American, and on the Hispanic side, just over 4%. And then we can look at household income here and see that distribution here. I'm going to run our models. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to go with a cut score this time because we got a larger population kind of starting. I might say, let's go a little bit higher on the intent and start with 55 and up. So we've cut it down. Was it about 330,000 individuals, I think, before we ran our model? We're now down at about 94,000 individuals. If we wanted to layer in that high school and less and some college no degree, filter as well, 66,000 individuals. And let's go run up here and again, take a look at some of the characteristics. Gender, it's going down a little bit on the female side. In age range, definitely significant clustering here in the younger groups, right? These were all like 7 and 6.5%, shares of the distribution. Now we're seeing 14, 20.7, 20.3, in these younger 5-year increments of age, and ethnic group. We've seen the African American and Hispanic shares going up. And let's look at income as well. All right, so I can see that distribution. So, I mean, overall, it's kind of telling the same story in each of these areas. It's just the starting point sizes are obviously very different. But when you filter for intent, it looks like the share female actually goes down a little bit. It definitely clusters on the younger, and then the persons of color shares go up. And it also concentrates more on those within the lower and lower middle income ranges. Happy to keep going if we want to do the next one. And if we don't get to them all, we can certainly, do these individually and really dig in even deeper. This is just kind of scratching the surface of these things. With me sharing my screen, Tara, I can't see the chat.
Oh, sorry. I'm like,
My bad.
let's do one more.
Okay.
We can do Rutherford County.
Okay, cool.
And I do want to point out too, again, there's data, we're looking at sort of very high level data and very kind of like macro level data, but you can get very micro and pull out names and date of births and contact information. So all of these dots are a household, but all of this data that we're able to sort on, you are able to extract from the database and then you use that for your outreach. So even though, we're kind of looking at it, like I said, very high level, it can get incredibly granular.
All right, so Rutherford County. Here we see it in kind of South Central North Carolina, southeast of Asheville. So let's kind of do the same thing, just real quick. Hit those high level data points and then run our miles and see how things change. So again, pretty much that same female to male split. You can see the age distribution here. Ethnic group. Let's look at that. You can see the share African American and Hispanic subpopulations here, but definitely primarily Western European. Let's pull up estimated income. We can see that distribution here. And now let me go jump in and run the models. And I think I'm going to kind of split the difference here. I'm going to go with 50 and up on this starting point. And we'll look at education level too. So we were at about 65,000. We've gone those with a 50% cut score predicted of intent for education or training or desiring education and training, 21,407. So we may want to adjust that down a little bit, but we'll just stick with it for this example. And you see most of the population is high school and less. So if we added in the high school and less and some college no degree, because we've done that in the other two, 90 some percent of the initial high intent list, 19,426 individuals. Let's go look at some of those characteristics. We'll work our way up. We can see the income distribution here. And for each of these, by the way, we could also filter for. So if we wanted to add in, say, household incomes of 60,000 and under, we would just select all these boxes here to narrow it down further that way. Looking at the percent distribution of African American and Hispanic origin populations has gone up compared to the initial county list. If we look at age range and gender as well, definitely seeing that clustering among the younger ages. And I think we actually see that in this case, the female share went up just a hair, but for the most part, it's pretty much unchanged from the initial population. Really just scratching the surface. I mean, we can look at primary language. We can look at whether veterans are present in the household. There is children in household data. So it is possible to advertise to parents of high school juniors and seniors talking about dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment opportunities in North Carolina, or, marketing that your institution is the great next step on their educational journey after they graduate from high school.
Awesome. Well, if you are interested in diving into your area, definitely just reach out to us and we're happy to schedule, some time on the calendar. And if you have any other questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much to Dan, and college and career readiness for having us today. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. Sarah and Andy.